Hey everybody, welcome from the frozen tundra of northern Ohio, or Idaho. Where the hell am I? I don't even know what's going on. I've got about 1.5 feet of snow outside, and it's been a snowy slice of hell here, but it's beautiful. But anyway, the show's got to go on, so here I am. Don won't be able to make it tonight. He's kind of snowed in himself, so you get me and all the attitude I can muster as we dive into another episode of the Paranormal Portal. So I hope you guys are ready. It's time to head in. All right, buckle up. We're going in. All right, everybody, welcome to the show. I'm your host, Brent Thomas, and this is the Paranormal Portal. It's our Wednesday edition, so we got that going for us. We've got a lot of things coming up tonight. Obviously, we're going to dive into the news because, well, it's the news. We got to do it. And we're going to hit the Discord question of the week, and we'll get into as much other stuff as we can, including a few articles from SasquatchChronicles.com. Listeners submitted stories over there that sound absolutely fascinating. So I think it's going to be great. Oh, yeah, I don't think, well, I guess we'll post that. One of the mods approved it. All right. But there'll be no nudes here. If that's, yeah, no. You trust me, you don't want to, the more clothes on this, the better. You don't want to see anything more than what I'm showing you. Trust me, I got to see all of it, and it's frightening. But welcome, everybody. Hope you guys are doing great. It's been an absolute hellstorm of snowy, flaky stuff outside, and literally like about a foot or better, of maybe 14, 16 inches now, and it's still coming hard. I don't know what the hell's going on, but I guess it's bound and determined to be winter, no matter what I think about it. So. I've already shoveled about a foot of snow today, but I'm sure if I was going to be real diligent, I'd probably have to shovel again after the show, but that's probably not happening. So you can only drag me out into this stuff so many times in one day, and I reached my quota. So I think the connection looks good. Everything looks powerful. The reason that some of the lights aren't on way up on top here, those are the little rice lights that go around all the signs. I'm plugging in and going, what the hell's going on? Why aren't these working now? Well, I've got a little midget cat. It's the little white one. You guys have seen him maybe from time to time. His name is Pikachu. And he's kind of depressed that he's got to be inside most of the time because he just doesn't know what to do with a foot of snow other than, go out and he plays in it for about 10 minutes or so and then wants to come in. But he's kind of, in a tough place because he's bored. And so I guess I'm pulling on my cord after I'm plugging in. I'm like, what's going on? I pull and there's an end of my cord that shouldn't be there because it's now bit in half. So I don't know. It's like you got a child-proof with pets sometimes. It's just nuts. So what do? Well, I got to fix some wires tomorrow. So I just found that out just before the show. I had a great time earlier tonight. If you happen to catch it, I generally co-host with Daniela on Bigfoot Odyssey on Wednesday nights, just to, hopefully help out and make the shows as good as we can. But I really had a good time. We had a great guest on tonight. His name is Wally, and he had some pretty interesting stories out of Texas. So if you haven't checked it out, go check out Bigfoot Odyssey and see what happened over there. Again, the stories were incredible. It's always really magnificent to talk to people that have been through the experiences. There's nothing like talking to firsthand witnesses, because you can see the emotion. You can see the impact that these things have had on their lives. And it's pretty profound imprints, and really quite amazing, actually. But yeah, he was a really nice guy. We had a nice talk. So it was a pleasure to meet him and to hear what he's experienced. And so if you haven't checked it out, check it out. That's, again, Bigfoot Odyssey's Wednesday show. So we did that a little bit ago. Oh, thank you. Tracy says it was a good show, Brent. Oh, well, I can't take a whole lot of credit for it, because, I was just mostly listening. But it's really an honor to be a part of it over there. And so thank you, Daniela and Linda and Bigfoot Odyssey, for having me on. That's always a wonderful time. Hey, good to have you back, Brooks. Great to have you back. Thank you for coming back. We always miss our regulars when they're disappeared, but it's good when they show up again. So wonderful. But yeah, I guess, what can I say? We got a lot to get through tonight, so I hope you all are ready, because it's about to get spooky. This is the part where I talk again, isn't it? Yeah, I'm just getting things set up as I'm doing these little pre-rolls here. I also want to let you know, Don extends his apologies that he's not able to be here tonight. He's actually pretty snowed in. So, hey, Brooks, good to see you again. And good to see all of you. Father Mike, how you doing, brother? Good to have you back. Father Mike was a lot of fun to talk to. He's an exorcist, ladies and gentlemen, of the Catholic Church, and a priest as well. He's a father. And really phenomenal guy. And it's nice to have you here, Father Mike. Thanks for coming in. I gotta watch my language now. Last time he stopped in, Father Mike, he's a hell of a guy. I'm like, no. I don't know. Sometimes things come out. You just want to take them back in. Hey, J-Rock, good to see you. Good to see you. And good to see all you guys who are coming in. Wonderful to have you all here with me on this Wednesday night. So it's just you, myself, and you. You guys are my co-hosts tonight. So if you got questions, again, in the chat, just do the @Paranormal Portal. That helps a bunch. I think if you just type Paranormal Portal, it'll put the box around it too, but the @ always helps. I don't know. I'm not sure, but it's most likely the way to get my attention. If you want me to see something you're posting, I'll do my best to keep an eye on it. But I'm going to be reading stuff from several monsters. The phones will be on through the night. So if you want to call in and share anything paranormal of your own, love to hear from you. That's always a pleasure to have you guys call in and be on the show with me as well. So the phone number is right on your screen right now, right in that red bar right there. So if you have a hankering to call in, you can do that. I would just ask that you wait till after the news, if you don't mind. Because the news means I got to keep dragging windows and switching screens and stuff, so it's hard to watch the phone board when all of that's going on, especially. So, without further ado, I guess if you guys are ready, and providing the power up here stays on with all the snow load, I have no idea. That's always the other part about living up here, is that getting a lot of snow. It's like, it's not really heavy snow though. It's not the really wet, heavy stuff. It's just really fluffy and thick. I mean, it's a lot of snow. I wish I was still a downhill skier, because I'm sure I'd be in my heaven up here. There's a ski resort right in town near here that's a world-class ski resort, but I don't ski because I destroyed my knees years ago. So my skiing days are behind me. But yeah, it's just if it also up here, of course, there's a lot of trees, and the trees get a snow load and they come down, and a lot of times they manage to hit power lines on the way down. Oddly enough, I don't know how that works, but there's many a winter night that we've been sitting here with candles and blankets, just going, "Oh God, I can't wait till the power gets on again." So anyway, we'll keep it up. Colleen Bowman says, husband is outside right now with tractor moving the snow so he can get into the driveway. Oh, man. At least you got a tractor, though. Thank God for that. I think Don needs one up there where he is. He's about 20 minutes north of where I am. He's kind of up there in the sticks. And, yeah, I mean, it's no joke. This snow is the real deal. It comes down in blankets, not just flurries, like quilts. So let's get on with the news. Enough of the weather. This isn't a weather show. This ain't the Weather Channel. You didn't tune in to hear my weather, but sorry, I got a cat hair on my microphone or something keeps tickling my nose. So let's get to the news. Time for the news. Most trusted news, ladies and gentlemen, right here on the Paranormal Portal. I always got to thank Wes Germer for Sasquatch Chronicles. He put that whole intro together. It's really cool. It's like, hey, I made something for your show. It's like, really? Wow. That's such a cool thing. Such a nice guy. So, this is the news, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Paranormal Portal News Desk as we dive into the news segment of our journey tonight. And I've curated a whole bunch of different articles for your hopefully enjoyment, and a few from the archives, because it's been not a lot of news coming through lately. Not a lot, at least that's I'm able to put into this show. There's a lot of longer news that we don't have time to get to, but and every once in a while I'll pop up one of those and go, oh, this is too long to read. Oops. But I did try to at least review most of them tonight. So I think everything I've curated for you is going to be readable on the journey. But the first one up, this one's kind of interesting. Now, I got some input on this, but we'll see what it says. This is an article that I popped up. I actually popped up, I think. Oh, it was from November 30th. I guess so it's brand new, but I did see this one somewhere else before. And this is an article from unexplained-mysteries.com. Ladies and gentlemen, please check out this site. These guys are awesome. They do an amazing job. It is really timely and just a fantastic site for lots of different news and information. So check it out. They've got plenty of paranormal and bizarre news and stuff that I just love. So, and cryptozoology. So they got like paranormal, cryptozoology, bizarre, and then they got the normal stuff, which is, I guess, good to know. Good to keep an eye on what's going on in the world. So the article coming up tonight, first off, is couple discovers weird object on the beach that looks like an ET's hand. And there's an image of it, ladies and gentlemen. And you know, so when I first saw this, I was thinking, I think dolphins and even killer whales have almost like hands in their dorsal fins, or in their pectoral fins on either side of the bottom of them. It actually, I think the actual skeletal structure, I think, looks like hands. So I wouldn't be surprised if that's what this is. I haven't pre-read it, so I don't know. But let's have a look. And it says, sporting 5 finger-like appendages, the hand was found washed up along the shoreline on a beach in Brazil. First spotted by Leticia Gomez, I think there's usually a Z at the end, but I'm going to assume that's Gomez, Santiago, and her boyfriend Devanir Souza. The peculiar object, which they initially described as being like E.T.'s hand, quickly went viral on social media. We think it's not human because of the size and the amount of bones, says Santiago. What could it possibly be? At a glance, it's not difficult to see how the E.T. comparison arose. The object does indeed resemble the long, slender figures of the titular alien from Steven Spielberg's 1982 sci-fi classic. God, 82. I remember seeing that in the theaters. I'm getting old. I'm old. I just don't feel old. I mean, I feel old, but not mentally. Anyway, let me continue. Far from being the dismembered appendage of an extraterrestrial visitor, however, this unusual-looking object is likely to have originated a lot closer to home. According to marine biologist Eric Coleman, what the hell is it? Coleman, C-O-M-I-N. I couldn't tell if it was an R-N or an M. The object likely came from some form of cetacean, a group of seaborne animals that include dolphins, porpoises, and whales. Okay, there you go. It is also believed that the animal in question died sometime around 18 months ago. Yeah, I remember seeing developmental charts showing how human-like dolphins and killer whales and other such animals are to us, in at least in the embryonic stage and into early development. They actually have like hands that turn into those dorsal, pectoral fins. And it's pretty incredible. So, I mean, when I saw that, I was like, well, I don't think that's E.T. I bet you that's just some kind of dolphin or something. So there you go. I was right. And hand to God, I didn't pre-read that. I just thought, nah, I don't think that's E.T. But it is interesting. And I guess that's the weird part, is that a lot of times, or at least several times, it's easy to go right to the bizarre. You know, it's kind of what we do. We go right to the bizarre. But if, you know, with a little bit of, examination and checking things out, you can find out that there's some pretty crazy stuff in nature that's just kind of normal, even though it seems really abnormal. Without the fin around it, yeah, it looks like an ET hand. But it's pretty much a very terrestrial thing. So, cool article, though. Again, that was on explain-mysteries.com, which is a phenomenal site. Check it out. They even got a new weird news compendium that they're selling online. And if you like the news here on the portal, you're going to love that book. So definitely check it out. It's on my bucket list as well. It'd be a lot of fun to read it and see what isn't, no longer in the archives and stuff that you could check out. So let's get to the next one. If you're ready, the next article up for the newscast tonight, I got several of them, I don't know. You ever see those old wagon shows? Even in the Ballad of Buster Scruggs? There's the guy, and it's not funny, but the guy is, it's kind of bizarre. It's a bizarre movie. If you haven't seen it, The Ballad of Buster Scruggs, it's really bizarre. But in one segment of it, there's this guy that has no arms, no legs, but he's an orator. He's a man that tells stories, classic stories and stuff. And they're kind of going around on this wagon to different Old West towns, and the guy puts on his show, which the wagon turns into a stage. And it's pretty incredible. Excuse me, hold on. But, I mean, the guy, I think it's actually the kid who plays Harry's stepbrother, Harry Potter, in the Harry Potter movies. It's that guy. When he's older, obviously he's still not the same little Weasley, or not Weasley, but what is it? I don't remember. I don't remember the name, but anyway, the bully kid that Harry only got the broom closet, and this kid had 2 bedrooms. But it's that guy, but he's playing the part of the guy with no arms and no legs. But the person pulling around is Liam Neeson. Anyway, long story short, the guy kind of gets tired, and the amount of money that his orations are bringing in are getting real slim. And so he's walking around the town after they do their little show, and there's another show going on with apparently a chicken that can do math, or it looks like it can anyway. So Liam Neeson's character buys the chicken, and then gets rid of the no arm, no leg guy. Because it's just, I guess, I don't know, it's really kind of a macabre story at best, but it's just very strange. Anyway, this article reminded me of that, so here it is from unexplained-mysteries.com. The legacy of Paul the Psychic Octopus persists even till today. This is from November 29th, 2022. There's a psychic octopus. Maybe octopus are psychic. I mean, what do we know about them? They got surprisingly big brains, apparently, for what they are. And many suggest that they might even be extraterrestrial. So maybe they are. It says the peculiar trend of having animals predict the winning teams during the World Cup is still alive and well. When it comes to predicting the football results, there is nobody quite like Paul. a literal octopus that won the hearts and minds of millions after seemingly predicting the results of multiple major football matches between 2008 and 2010. To enable Paul to make his predictions, the keepers would place him inside a perspex, I don't know what perspex tank, with 2 food boxes stuck into the side, each adorned with the flags of the competing teams. Whichever box of food Paul ate from first would be considered his personal pick for who would win. Incredibly, the plucky cephalopod managed to correctly predict 12 out of 14 matches, including the winner of the 2010 FIFA World Cup, before his unfortunate demise a few months later. And they're still talking about him. Since then, hundreds of other animals, including rats, elephants, dogs, cats, and more, have been brought out during major games in an effort to repeat Paul's success. The ongoing World Cup in Qatar is no exception, with an otter named Tayo proving popular for comedy, correctly predicting the Japanese team's success, and there are more where that came from. Of course, the likelihood of any of these animals actually predicting the results through psychic powers is practically nil. Well, who knows? I don't know. Instead, any successes are likely to be little more than coincidence. Even so, it's not hard to imagine a lot of money has been placed and lost on bets on the outcomes picked by hoof, paw, or claw over the last couple of weeks. Yeah, I mean, I think I don't think gambling's ever probably your best bet as far as a retirement profile. It's like, no, that's probably not why. You know, and that's I've been to casinos a few times, and I enjoy them for what they are, but I literally have never blown any significant money at them, just, you know, pocket change, because I figure, you know, if your odds of winning are good, this place would not look this nice. They wouldn't be these opulent castles that you go into and you know, get doted on while you empty your bank, you know, into machines or into tables or whatever. But, you know, if you've got the income and it's disposable, then, you know, go ahead and spend it however you want. But, you know, there's some people that have real problems with that. So I'm not one of them. I just, the biggest gambling I ever did was playing the lottery for the most part. And I didn't do real well with that either. So, but everybody's got their lottery dream. So maybe next time I'll have an octopus pick my numbers. Maybe that's the key. I never thought of that. Never know. Well, whatever the case is, I guess that's an option. So the cephalopod. Let's get to the next one here on the newscast tonight, and this is this one's kind of interesting. I don't know if this one's going to be really long or not, but at least we could touch on it, because I think we do stand to learn a lot from things that come from outer space. I mean, I know that sounds absolutely stupid, but in this case, it's from the 29th. Unexplained-mysteries.com reports 2 never before seen alien minerals found inside a meteorite. Now, that's very cool. I think that's really interesting. A 17-ton meteorite that landed in Somalia has been found to contain 2 minerals never seen on Earth before. It's perhaps hard to imagine that there exist minerals in the universe that are not found natively on Earth, but this fact was brought into sharp focus recently when scientists sliced up a very large meteorite and found 2 minerals inside that are not found on our planet at all. Wow. Oof. Is it mithril? Just kidding. The huge space rock, which weighed a whopping 17 tons, fell to Earth in El Ali, Somalia in 2020. The 2 new minerals discovered inside the 2.5-ounce slice removed from the main meteorites, 2 new minerals, okay. Scientists have since named them Elalite after the meteorite itself and Elkinstantonites after Linda Elkins-Tanton, managing director of the Arizona State University Interplanetary Initiative. And it goes on to say this: the find is significant because it could help to teach us more about the formation of the solar system. Whenever you find a new mineral, it means that the actual geological conditions, the chemistry of the rock, was different than what's been found before, said the University of Alberta's Chris Hurd. That's what makes this exciting. In this particular meteorite, you have two officially described minerals that are new to science. Work on studying the new minerals remains ongoing. Well, that is kind of cool because maybe it, I don't know. It kind of depends, I guess, but you got to think, well, is the mineral, I don't know a lot about minerals, so let me go on record and say that before I say something stupid, but could it teach us to build things that would be maybe more resilient or better conductors of electricity than we'd ever considered before? Could it teach us those kind of informations, maybe a more robust, stronger building material, maybe a better semiconductor, any number of things. But that's what I think is exciting about this stuff, is because, we have the ability to learn. So that's pretty cool. So if you didn't hear that before today, you heard it now. You're welcome. All right, let's go to the next one and see what's going on here again. This is from unexplained-mysteries.com. This article is, what? Oh, okay. I thought I didn't remember pulling this one up, but I misread the title at first. I mean, what? But no. Speaking of new materials, no, it wasn't that. It's first ever archive center of UFO material to be set up in the U.S. That's right. As of November 28th, 2022, by T.K. Randall, excuse me. The report is the center will contain the largest ever archive dedicated to the presentation and centralization of UFO-related material. Unless the FBI raids it. Ooh. While there is certainly no shortage of UFO information out there, tracking down what you want to know from various government agencies, police authorities, and archives that possess the relevant data has long proven to be a serious roadblock for researchers. What's badly needed is a centralized, easily accessible repository of UFO-related material. Enter David Marler, a pioneering UFO researcher who has plans in motion to set up a new facility, the National UFO Historical Records Center. So is that Newhirk, at a site in Albuquerque, New Mexico, with the goal of preserving and archiving anything and everything related to the topic of UFOs. The center would make it possible for anyone to easily acquire the information they need. In recent years, there have been successive U.S. government disclosures acknowledging the UFO-UAP subject as a genuine phenomena, he said. In addition, with the civilian sector, there has been an influx of new researchers into this field of inquiry. Many academics and scientists are included in this group. However, most of these parties do not have access to the vast array of historical materials and data sets in the hands of U.S. civilians, UFO historians, and researchers. So the National UFO Historical Records Center has been created to gather and centralize data in the United States. Whether or not the facility goes ahead will depend on a number of factors, not the least of which being the availability to appropriate funding, of course. If it does happen, though, it will be a major step forward for the field of UFO research. Why don't they just have an online archive? Why do they have to have a center? Have a redundant archive set up where, there's redundant data sets in several different places that wouldn't rely on one building. I don't know. I mean, is it necessary to create a brick and mortar? Or what? I don't know. I mean, if they have materials, like actual materials, sure, then you need a place to put them. But if it's just a collection of stories, investigations, and, basically data sets, then it could just as easily be an online accessible thing without the need for exorbitant funding other than bandwidth if you're hosting a site. But I don't know. I mean, who knows? Everybody wants to leave their footprint, and if it helps the field, then fantastic. But I don't know that a brick and mortar kind of place is really as necessary as just having a repository, an online repository for such things, unless that's what they're talking about. I don't know. It's kind of At least in what I read and understand, it sounds kind of nebulous. Like, well, are they just talking about building a building with files in it, or is there going to be an online component of it? Because not everybody can just go to New Mexico. I mean, a lot of people in the U.S., of course, could jump in a car, but what about the world community? So I don't know. It's a cool idea, though. I mean, I'm not opposed to there being a building. I just don't know. I just think about the Library of Alexandria, for instance. It's this one repository that was set up for all the information in the world, and then was eventually caught fire and burned down. And so, there's some legends that say that the information was moved before that, but that's yet to be proven. So as far as we know, all of that information was lost. So is this one archiving effort being put forth in this instance? Is there, going to be protections for that? I hope so. I imagine so in our digital age. But anyway, just some thoughts off the surface of my head, which is rather robust. My head is rather robust. All right. Let's see. Let's get to the next one here. And this one is, this one's kind of cool because for any of you UFO and SETI enthusiasts, about the WOW signal. It was kind of the big thing. The first real radio telescope signal that came in that defied explanation. The first one, at least, that we know of. And it's often called the WOW signal because the person that recorded it, when you look back at it, and it was like, oh my God, he wrote wow on the recording tape, the digital readout of it. So, but let's see what it says. Unexplainedmysteries.com says astronomers scour region of space where WOW signal originated. Well, that's good. I'm glad they're turning attention back to it. I think they've done this before, but maybe we have better tools now. With of course, the Hubble and the other newer telescope. Maybe they can really look for techno signatures or something over there, not just radio signatures. But let's see what it says. The double telescopic study of this distant region of space aimed to listen out for any other interesting signals. Astronomers have begun listening out for extraterrestrial signals for years. But one case, that of a strange signal picked up by a school telescope at Ohio State University 40 years ago, has since remained one of the most tantalizing and perplexing examples ever recorded. Originating in the globular cluster of M55 in the constellation Sagittarius, the peculiar signal lasted approximately 72 seconds. Astronomer Jerry Eman, I don't know how to pronounce that, who was the first to examine the complex readout, or the computer readout, famously wrote the word wow on the page. Although most experts have since dismissed the signal as naturally occurring, the specifics surrounding its source have remained a topic of debate for decades. Now, 40 years on, astronomers from multiple countries have combined their efforts to conduct a new study of the region of space from where the signal was picked up. Using both the Green Bank telescope in West Virginia and the Allen Telescope Array in California, the team focused on a specific star. Two mass, are you serious? All those numbers that had been previously pinpointed in the most likely source of the signal. Sadly, though, despite their best efforts, the search ultimately came up empty. Not all is lost, however, as the exercise did serve as a perfect demonstration of how a similar search may be carried out elsewhere, perhaps with a focus on an even more tantalizing target. For now, though, the WOW signal's true source remains as elusive as ever. Well, at least they looked again. I don't know. I don't doubt. I suspect they've constantly been looking. I don't think this is anything new, but maybe it was the first big coordinated or press-released effort in that regard. But I think, when things like that are picked up, I'm sure they're actively pursued. So very cool. Anyway, that's the WOW signal. It's still relevant today, and I suppose even more relevant now that disclosure, at least a soft disclosure, has happened. That more scientific agencies are ready to, at least pursue the possibilities than ever before, because they've kind of been greenlit in that regard. Now, Question is, if they found something, would they tell us? I don't know. I'm not super confident that that would be the case. But, believe what you like. All right, continuing on. The next one is this is another new one. I don't know. Blame the rats. Sure, it was rats. You'll know what I mean in just a second, because the next article up on unexplained-mysteries.com, drugged up rats blamed for eating police evidence in India. It was the rats. Sure it was. From November 27, 2022. According to reports, around 200 kilograms of seized cannabis has been eaten by rats in police stations across Uttar Pradesh. Officers attempted to prosecute animals from which large quantities of cannabis had been confiscated. Criminals. I said animals. Criminals. Officers attempted to prosecute criminals from which large quantities of cannabis had been confiscated are running into an unexpected problem in the form of hungry rats. In recent months, as much as 200 kilograms of the illicit drugs have been gobbled up by rats that have infiltrated police station evidence storage rooms, compromising prosecutions that relied on it in the courtroom. In the last 3 separate cases, sure. Yeah, it was the rats. Yeah, no, I'm sure it's legit. In the last 3 separate cases, the police were asked to produce the seized drugs as evidence, but were unable to do so because some or all of it had been destroyed by rodents. It was rats. Rats are tiny animals. They have no fear of the police, one court official said in a statement. It's difficult to protect the drug from them. Up to 700 kilograms of the drug are currently lying in police evidence rooms across the state, and according to reports, all of it is under the danger of infestation by rats. Well, whether or not the police will be able to get on top of the problem remains to be seen. Well, geez. Do they not have traps there? I mean, is there no traps in India? How does that work? Just use one of those buckets. It's got those buckets with the tippy lids, and the rats continue to try to eat the grain that's glued on them, and then they fall in the bucket. Okay. I don't know what to make of that one. Wow. Sorry, I'm a little froggy. But I'm not so sure it's rats. I just think that that's a hell of a scapegoat. I think there's probably some pretty wealthy police running around in this province of India. But what do I know? I don't know. Do rats eat cannabis? Well, maybe they do. I don't know. But yeah, I don't know. We'll leave it there. I can't be sure, but it is a strange story. It's the rats. Of course it is. It has to be. Couldn't be corrupt individuals in charge of storage lockers. Anyway, just chew on some and leave it laying on the ground. I don't know what happened to those 15 pounds of weed. It's just gone, man. The rats. All right, let's get to the next one. There's just a few left. These last few will go much quicker, I think. Well, this one may not. Let's see what it is. I better look at this one. This one's kind of interesting because it has to do with Mars, but I got to make sure it's not too horribly long. No, this one's good. All right, so this is from November 27, 2022 from unexplained-mysteries.com. November 27, 2022, Perseverance rover discovers possible signs of ancient life on Mars. Probably mean like plant life or something. I'm sure they're not talking about little green men or something, but NASA's latest Mars rover has made the discovery that could point to the presence of life on Mars in the distant past. Confirmation that there was once life on the red planet, most likely during a time in the distant past when Mars was home to rivers and oceans of liquid water, would be one of the most important scientific discoveries in the history of human civilization. It's no surprise, then, that NASA has spent decades scouring Mars for evidence of habitability. Its latest tool in aiding in this search is Perseverance, a car-sized rover that landed on the Red Planet in 2021 and has since spent its time trundling, okay, across the surface of the Jezero crater in search of clues. Most recently, the rover has discovered evidence of organic carbon on Mars, a tantalizing find that scientists believe could be a sign of ancient microbial life. Organics make up life as we know it, said University of Florida astrobiologist Amy Williams. Seeing organic carbon on Mars sets us up to understand if the building blocks of life were present on the planet in the past through the lens of how life evolved on Earth. As things stand, it's impossible to know for sure whether these organic molecules are present of or are the result of biological geological processes. Yet even the latter could still point to the planet's former habitability. Whichever the case, we are sure to learn more in the next few years when NASA's Mars Sample Return mission picks up caches of samples left by the rover and transports them back to Earth. Studying these directly in a lab will be the best way to tell for sure what they could mean. Well, sure. And whatever. I mean, I don't know. If it had rivers and oceans of water and there's some kind of atmosphere there still, but they're believed to be a lot more in the past, then I don't know why it's such an argument or even... I think it seems pretty safe to assume there was some kind of life on Mars. But was it organized civilizations? I don't know. Maybe. But microbial, why not? I mean, that doesn't... If there's water and an atmosphere, there could be anything. But we'll find out eventually, or they'll let us know eventually, as the case may be. Here's one from the archives. Well, here's first one. This one's kind of creepy, and I don't know if you guys have seen this video, but this one comes from 2010. It's an old one, but it is fascinating to watch these animals because I don't know how they do it, but I don't know. It would be akin to watching a woman in stiletto heels climbing up a brick building. I don't know how they do it, but the story is, from 2010, October 16th, goats climb near vertical 160-foot dam. And there's these goats. And if you know what goats look like, obviously I think everybody does, but they got those little cloven hoofs. And I guess maybe it's perfect for this kind of thing because those little pointy hoofs can grab onto the littlest crevices maybe. But it's pretty bizarre to think that they're scaling almost sheer walls with, just little block marks and stuff and climbing up. I don't know. That just boggles my imagination that animals are so incredibly resourceful and capable. But herds of alpine ibex goats have been photographed climbing up a near vertical 160-foot dam. The incredible sight is testament to how skilled the goats are at traversing their mountainous terrain. With no fear of falling, the goats wander around the sheer face of the dam, licking the stones for their salts. It's just amazing. I don't know. At first look, you could be forgiven for thinking the photo of the Cingino Dam in the Italian Alps is unremarkable, but for the feat of civil engineering it represents. However, look a bit closer, and you might feel a bit of a silly Billy for not realizing those specks on the sheer 160-foot face are something altogether more amazing. Yeah. I mean, those are goats up there just licking the salts. I don't think our best rock climbers could do this. I don't know. I mean, they do amazing things too, don't get me wrong, but my God, they're not wearing high heels doing it or clogs or whatever would be akin to what a goat's foot is. And yet they're just up there licking the salt. Wow. Yeah. Wouldn't have expected that, but cool story. Yeah, might have heard it here first. I don't know. That one's been around for a while, so maybe you already heard it. But it's still amazing. I still think it's amazing. Next up on the news festival tonight, and next to the last one, there's just one more after this. This one's really bizarre. It's from the World of the Bizarre archives on unexplained-mysteries.com. Parrot arrested for aiding drug cartel. What? You heard it right. Lorenzo the parrot has become the latest of over 1,700 seized by officials, having been trained as drug cartel lookouts. At an undercover raid last week, Lorenzo was arrested by officers after shouting, "Run! Run! You're going to get caught!" for most of the morning. Drug traffickers had been training the birds to keep a lookout and warn them if they've been rumbled. I don't know what that means, rumbled. Okay. According to environmental authorities, Lorenzo the parrot was trying to tip off a local drug cartel when officers conducted an undercover raid early Wednesday. This parrot was sending out alerts, said police officer Holman Oliveira. You could say he was some sort of watchbird. What do you mean arrested him, though? I mean, what does that even make sense to use that term? I mean, they might have collected the parrot or whatever, but I guess it's kind of brilliant, really. It's low tech, but animals can hear and see things long before we can. So, with their sensitive ears, and I don't know how good parrots' eyes, but I guess they're pretty amazing. I don't know. Either they're hearing people coming or they can see them coming or both, but that's pretty creative, I got to admit. So, who needs a dog? Just get a parrot. Well, there you have it. Next up and last up on the news festival for tonight, our Paranormal Portal news is the last article tonight. This one's bizarre, but it kind of shows you there's some interesting things having to do with the human brain. Some pretty incredibly interesting things. There's been reports of people in deep hypnosis suddenly speaking languages they've never learned and stuff. So I don't know. It kind of makes you think that maybe in all of us, there's a robust access to knowledge that we don't do on our normal awakened state. But is it possible? Well, here's one. A gran with a migraine wakes up with a French accent. S'il vous plaît. A 49-year-old grandmother went to bed suffering from a migraine and woke up to find that she had a French accent. In the latest case of what is known as foreign accent syndrome, Kay Russell ended up losing her job as a sales executive due to a condition that can occur when the parts of the brain responsible for speech and word formation become damaged. After one bad migraine, she was left with slurred speech for 2 weeks and made an appointment to have an MRI scan and see a neurologist. Then one day, she simply woke up with a French accent. Oh, my God. That's wild. She just suddenly became French. Just a French accent, though. It's not like she spoke French, but very interesting. Huh. Is that... I don't know. I don't know what's going on there. But it's apparently real. So there you have it, folks. This has been a presentation of the Paranormal Portal News. I hope you feel informed and that you've gained some kind of new insider information about the world around us, because, my God, what a glorious place it is. Oh, my God. I'm going Scottish. No, I'm not. Not really, but love the Scots. Don't get me wrong. But anyway, let's get back to the rest of the show. There you go. Guess you can just never know. The world is strange, but no stranger than all of us here. So that was the news. Hope you guys enjoyed it. The phone lines are open if you guys want to call in. You can certainly do so as we go forward. But I'm looking, did I miss anything through the news fest? Nope. Everybody's just talking quietly amongst themselves. Good. I didn't miss anything. I mean, I miss stuff all the time, but I do try to be conscientious about it, and I do try to check to see. All right. The phones are open again. 720-923-0500. But before we go any further, what is that, Jake? Jake's just, I think Jake actually fell asleep on his keyboard. Oh, I'm not sure what you're doing there, Jake. Let's get to the next part of our journey. And we're going to get into another segment that I'm really enjoying. We've been doing it now for, I don't know, I guess a month or so. Maybe it's longer. I don't know. But it's the Discord question of the week, ladies and gentlemen. And I like this segment a lot because it gives us a chance to look at our Discord community and to integrate that with the live shows because, you know, we have a great community of people over there that are having, you know, wonderful discussions about things. So we've got a few responses, not a bunch tonight. So if any of you in the chat have anything to say, please, contribute your ideas to this in the chat. But the question of the week is our new segment, which, again, we have a Discord server. So let me get the link to that because I always like to send it out there if any of you want to be involved in that. Our Discord community is full of a whole batch of wonderful people. Some are passively involved. They're just a part of the channel. Others are actively involved. And the choice is yours. I mean, you don't have to. I mean, it's not a prerequisite that, if you're there and not participating, we're going to kick you. I mean, no, I'm not going to kick anybody out. But I love your guys' feedback on this thing. So our Discord community, I just pasted the link for an invite into our Discord community. If you have Discord and wouldn't mind, there's a bunch of great stuff over there. I'd love to have you get involved. But the question of the week is one segment of our Discord server, which we pose a question to our listeners or our active chatters over there, and usually a paranormal question, and just to see what you guys think. Because I don't ever want to portray myself as any kind of expert because I don't believe the paranormal has any experts. But there are certainly people that have, all of you guys have very unique insights into this phenomena, and I value you sharing your thoughts on all of this. So without further ado, let's get to the question of the week. Let's dig into it now. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is our Discord channel right here. As you can see, when you get the invite, if you use it, you will have the opportunity to join this group, which is the Paranormal Portal group. And I guess you can't quite see that. It's a little high. But if I go here, there we go. This is it, Paranormal Portal. And here's all the different topic areas. There's news, there's donations, there's rules. There's always rules. There's an admin mods channel. And there's a tutorial section here for those of you that might be new to Discord, not quite sure what to do. So you can click on this part and get some walkthroughs on how to use Discord, and gets your feet on the ground. But basically, once you just figure out what everything means, like these are the people that are in the group, all of this side of the page, and currently we have 131 plus 13, so 144 people. I guess right now in our Discord group collectively, I would say about 30 to 50 people kind of stop in and say something from time to time. There's about 15 people that are extraordinarily active in there and wonderful people. So no matter what you do. But over here, you'll also notice is the question of the week. And this is where we post the questions that we're going to discuss on the next live show. And there should be a question posted before every live show over here if I'm doing my job, which usually I do. I do my best anyway, so keep watching there for any new questions as they come up. This one I posted very late last night, so it's not a surprise that we don't have a ton of responses, but we got a few. So the question this week is for tonight's show. It's actually inspired by Eric PHA's response to the last question. And he mentioned flying people. And I was like, that's a great point. That Legends of flying people long predates comics or movies or television. There are legends around the globe of people who appear to have an ability to defy gravity and levitate or fly. From Buddhist monks and others religious figures, these stories are nearly as old as time. Do you think these people really did unlock some ability, or do you think these are just sensationally exaggerated tales or fakes? And I just thought it'd be kind of interesting to see what people think, because if you go on YouTube, you can catch videos of quote unquote flying people. And generally, like everything else on YouTube, it's like, I think that's a person. It looks like a person's shape, but it could be a drone. It could be a balloon. It could be any number of things. And I don't think that YouTube is probably where you should go and look actively for proof of the paranormal. But I do think that there are some very legitimate videos up there that you kind of got to hunt and look for them, but you can find some phenomenal videos that seem to portray events that at least aren't readily and obviously able to be debunked. Granted, it's YouTube, so you got to take everything with a grain of salt, but if you look at some videos, it's like, well, I don't know, is that a fake? Does that look like they faked it? And it's getting harder and harder to really pick out fakes from real or what might be real. It's impossible to know for sure unless you can trace the source back to the original person and test the equipment they used, et cetera, et cetera. But I think there is valid videos on YouTube showing true paranormal, supernatural, et cetera, events. So I just thought I'd ask this question to see what people think, because again, it's not a new phenomenon. It's very, very old. The temples in Buddhist temples and stuff are long filled with stories of levitating monks and monks and yogis flying at treetop level around villages and stuff, bilocating, et cetera, et cetera. So, I mean, flying is just one part of it. But is there any merit to these things? Do you guys think it's just some mumbo jumbo from a distant past, or did they unlock something that lies dormant in all people? and I'm not saying it's not possible, but I wanted your take. So Eric said, who knows? Only the Paranormal Portal knows for sure. I wish that were true, brother. I really do wish that were true. Just kidding. I think it's possible to do many things. Doesn't mean you should, though. That's a good point. Yeah, I think that's a great point. ZX81V2 says Earth's surface has a charge rather. If you isolate your magnetic field to be the same charge, you can float. Same principle as holding two magnets, same pole facing, they repel. Sounds simple logic, harder in practice. How to fly. 1, leap off something high and miss the ground. Yeah, that's a way to boil it down for sure. So, is it magnetism? Maybe. We often attribute spiritual presences to a EM field of some kind. Is that accurate or not? Well, we don't know, but there is some anomalous EM fields that appear in places that shouldn't have them normally. But then again, the Earth is electromagnetic in a sense, and with if it does indeed have a molten core of iron and nickel and other things, then a magnetic charge seems likely. There's a magnetic north and south. We know that. So are we as well electromagnetic in some regard? And it's hard to know. I don't think it's probably the magnetism that we know and are familiar with. I think it's probably some other version or some other field that's present on our world that we don't really understand yet. But I think that there's merit to the idea that it's energetic. Of course, yeah, that makes sense, because fundamentally energy is matter. Matter is energy, and energy is matter. So perhaps there's a way to change your frequency and raise it to a point that the gravity doesn't adhere to you anymore. I don't know. Gravitons or whatever gravity is, and I don't pretend to know that either. But that's a very good take. Thank you for that. Rachel says there may be some facts behind levitating or flying. I can't find the video, but there were monks in deep meditation with their legs crossed and leaping with some still crossed, a deep meditation to feel the body is weightless, and use the leg muscles to push off the ground. Also, certain plants and mushrooms, when consumed, give the sensation of flying. Yeah, I think that's where some of the witches' broom flying stuff comes from, is from some form of fungus that was consumed. But at least that's a legend I've heard. Observers and outsiders who hear of these flying sessions would by word of mouth and centuries of tales passed down, would distill down to tales of flying people. Yeah, good point. And that's certainly possible. Could be some form of hallucinogen that gives people the feeling of flying, but when they're observed flying, that's another take. But Lars says, once again, I believe that levitation is demons and evil spirits with a ton of power interacting with mortals. I considered it to be pure evil or fake. And that's fair enough, too. I don't pretend to invalidate anybody's opinion because I just don't know. But I'm curious what your guys' take is. And, of course, our worldview comes into play quite a bit when we're asking for people's thoughts on this stuff. But, for those that are, searching for answers, I think you got to look at everything and examine it for what it is. Now, I do believe that things like telekinesis and psychokinesis exist. And if that's the case, that matter can be moved without physical interaction. If that is indeed true, if I'm correct in my assumption that it's true, then is it just a more robust version of that some people are able to attain? And maybe. I don't know. But the reason that I think it's true is because if some spirits were formerly human and are able to manipulate objects by virtue of whatever energy that is available to them, then it seems to me that people in bodies could do the same. But we have a barrier, which is our body. And maybe that's why some esoteric and spiritual practices speak of taking care of your body, making sure it's clear of chemicals and things like that might hinder the expression of our true potentials, whether it be spiritual, whether it be awareness, whether it be manifestation or whatever. And so perhaps the body's a big part of that. And since we're walking around in meat suits, it's, we've got a big barrier to work through, whereas those that were people and are no longer in a body are able to influence those things more readily than we can. But is it possible? I guess I believe it is. I don't know what that means, and I don't know if that requires some incredible devotion or process of cleansing and meditating and developing. I don't know. It just gets incredibly hard to follow. I don't know. I've seen things move. I know that they can be moved without people doing it. But what does that mean? Well, it means it's possible to me. And so I don't negate or deny any possibilities as far as this is concerned. But those are my takes. So any of you in the chat, did you have any ideas that you wanted to? Levitating can be a sign of sanctity or demon possession. Traditionally, the way to distinguish is looking at other signs and the context of the person's life. Check out Father Ripperger. Okay. Thank you, Mystic Shepherdess. I appreciate that input. Yeah, that's fantastic. Sanctifying. That's very interesting. Yeah. And the whole sanctification of anything, I guess, changes it on an energetic level, right? So that's a good point. And it seems like a nebulous term, but nonetheless. Mystic Shepherdess, thanks for sharing that. Yeah, absolutely. I like when you guys have input. Saint Joseph of Cupertino, born in 1603, died in 1663. While in prayer, said to occasionally go into ecstasy and levitate. Well, that's fantastic. And Father Mike, isn't that also, and not to draw a dark light on that, but is levitation also reported in exorcisms? apparently have heard. I don't claim to be extraordinarily knowledgeable on exorcisms or anything like that, but I've heard the tales that sometimes people tied to chairs sometimes start floating, and some float to the form of the cross. At least that's the Hollywoodized versions. I assume there was some basis for that, but I'd like to know, in your opinion, if you've heard of those kind of things. That should have been something we discussed too on the podcast. I guess I have to come back and talk some more. More of the exorcisms. But yeah, Father Mike was a great resource for this, and all of you are. Thank you, Shepherdess. I appreciate your input, and it's nice to meet you. That's a new name. I've not met you before, or at least I've not seen you in here before. You might have been lurking, but thank you so much for contributing to the discussion. Again, everybody's ideas are just as valid as anyone else's. Nobody knows this stuff. If we did, it'd be different. Yes. Father Mike says, during demon possession, extremely rare, even for those of us believe in it, is a mockery, blaspheming during levitation rather than prayer. Oh, okay. Wow. That's creepy. Oh, just gives me the willies. It's just such a dark and twisted thing. Thank God. Thank God there's those of you out there taking care of that for the rest of us. But yeah, very, very creepy. What did Ninja Dave say? I have some dreams about flying, but I worry about flying into power lines in the dreams. Yeah, no, I've had many lucid dreams through the years where it's like I become absolutely aware of the fact that I'm able to control what's going on. And the first thing I do is like push off and decide that I can fly. And it's the most exhilarating thing in the world. It's like, woo. I think if I was able to pick one superpower, I think that would be the one I would pick. It's like, yeah, and probably a good helmet. I'm not sure I'd be a good flyer, but I'd have fun doing it. But yeah, that's fascinating. If people had telekinetic power, like the Bernoulli effect, in which the air above them moves faster than the air at their feet, would result in lower air pressure below them and cause them to rise. Yeah, I think, but that may very well be true. I don't know. Isn't that more aerodynamics, Father Mike? But that's a great point, Rachel. Thank you. Father Mike again said, and I would say the same as Brent. There are no experts on demon possession. As one priest said, we don't have a roadmap to the other side. Yeah, no kidding. I guess that puts us at a real disadvantage because, it'd be nice to know. And it'd be nice to have that roadmap. But I think it's fantastic. Fantastically interesting stuff. All right, Haxer, good night. Thanks for stopping in. It's good to see you, brother. But yeah, I appreciate your guys' input on this stuff because, again, there's no wrong answers. Anybody's opinion is just as valid as anyone else's. And I don't pretend to know this stuff. I have ideas, but again, these kind of discussions have taught me so much about just different ways to look at the phenomena than what I had looked at. And so I can't thank you guys enough for your participation in these discussions because, I mean, this is my journey and you guys are on it with me. And so I think together we are capable of so much more than I would ever have come to conclusions of on my own. I don't have any conclusions. The more things I think I figure out, the more I realize I don't know. And it's kind of a backwards funnel. You start traveling, you've got a vision, and then you start kind of coming to some conclusions about it. And then you realize that the funnel just got bigger and there's more things to wonder about. And then you move, and every time you move, this funnel keeps growing and growing and growing and growing. It's just like, man, we'll never get all the answers, at least not in this incarnation, but perhaps in the next world. We'll just be all plugged into the Akashic records and we can just know everything. That would be phenomenal. But this has been a production of the Paranormal Portal and our Discord question of the week. So thank you guys for your contributions. Again, please get involved. We'd love to have you over there if you wouldn't mind joining and becoming a part of these discussions. I'd love to hear what you think. I love all viewpoints, whether you're coming from a very pragmatic place with it, if you're coming from a very esoteric place, if you're coming from a new age place, if you're coming from an occult place, if you're coming from a religious place, I like all of your input because each and every one of you brings something new to the table and a new part of the discussion to consider. So thank you to everybody that has participated. It means so much and it adds so much to the shows. I mean, I could just sit and talk about this stuff, but then you'd be stuck with what I think. And I don't know. Nobody knows. So let's get back to some other stuff here on the show. This has been the question of the week. I wanted to shut that off first. I got to figure out a way to time that a little better. But I'm getting better. All right. So next up, ladies and gentlemen, we got some more of the fun that I've curated for your behalf. I just got to find the tab. There it is. Okay. I found a couple of articles that I think are really interesting of some stuff going on in Ohio that we're going to get to a little later, along with some Sasquatch Chronicles stuff. I've got a few from Phantoms and Monsters as well that we might get time for. But there's a lot going on here. But first of all, I want to get back to a Factinate article we've been working through because this one's been kind of cool. A lot of these, now this is what I like to refer to as a Reddit aggregated article. I think this is, what are we on, number 26? Let me just see who this is. I think it's just a fact. Oh, it's AV Land, written by AV Land. And this is a Factinate.com article. It's Unforgettably Creepy Moments. So these have been pretty good. I got to admit, some of them are not as paranormal, but they are still creepy. Oftentimes, the most creepy things going on in this world is by other people. The paranormal and all the supernatural stuff is weird, and it's bizarre. But I got to tell you, people still generally are the most creepy element on this planet. Now, that's not to say I'm a pessimist about it. Of course, there's wonderful, amazing people in this world, and you guys are some of them. But there's also some horrible, horrible people in this world, and it's kind of scary, the lengths that people will go to. But this is the article, so let's start exploring this article. All right, so we're on number 26, and this is, again, it's an aggregate from Reddit, so essentially what this person does, oh, thank you, Maggie. Love the question of the week also. Oh, thank you, Maggie. Appreciate it so much. All right, so number 26 is called Near Miss. All right, back when I was in college, there were a number of break-ins reported from various apartment complexes that lined a single street. Oh, might not work to call in. I didn't connect to the phone line. Derp. Let's do this right. There we go. Now we'll be able to take phone calls if anybody calls in. I forgot that part. I don't know what's wrong with me on Wednesdays. It's like, man, it's like knowledge gets sucked from my head right before I do the show. So the phone lines are now active. Jeez. Back when I was in college, there was a number of break-ins reported from various apartment complexes that lined a single street. You could easily walk from one apartment complex to another in a few minutes. A lot of these units had large back porches that you shared with your neighbor. The kicker is that below the porches were these big air conditioner-like things. You could easily climb up on these things and hop onto the porch. And since a lot of college kids left their doors unlocked, it was incredibly easy to get into someone's apartment. Ew, that's just a bad idea. The reports were all from females who awoke in the middle of the night, sometimes during storms, to find a man standing over their bed watching them sleep. Oh, God, it just gives me chills. Ugh. If you woke up, he would run out of the house. I thought it was creepy, but I didn't think much of it. I was taking a summer astronomy class, and it was a lecture followed by a lab. Since we needed it to be nighttime to do the lab, often I wouldn't get home until around 12. And it was about a 5-hour class in total, so I'd go home to bed exhausted. One night I did this as normal. None of my 3 other roommates were home at the time. The next morning, I woke up to my roommate telling me there was an officer there and he wanted to talk to me. I went downstairs, and apparently last night they had caught the man during the break-ins lurking around our apartment complex. They had asked the man to show him all the places he had broken in. Apparently, he had pointed at mine. It was then that my roommate told us that he came home late last night and the back door was open. We think he was trying to enter as my roommate came home, and upon hearing my roommate, hurried out the back door without closing it. It didn't occur to me until much later that maybe that wasn't the only night. Unaware to me, he had entered our home. Ugh. Yeah, that's horrible. That was by Kat Lisi. Or Katie Lisi. I don't know. That's how I'm pronouncing it. Number 27 is a call for help. So that one's not paranormal, the last one, but it's still plenty creepy. All right. Working as a 911 dispatcher, I got a 911 call from a house. I call back, but it's been disconnected. This is actually fairly common and happened whenever it rained. The backstory on the house is that it was vacant and used to have an active landline. The theory was that the water was somehow getting to the telephone system to the house and was setting off false alarms. Well, we get one, and I thought about just saying forget it, but I stuck with the protocol and sent an officer. The vacant house had just caught fire the day after a rainstorm. Never found a witness, and the house was saved. Ooh, that's kind of cool. You gotta wonder who was there. Who still lives there? Apparently they didn't like it trying to burn down. All right, number 28, room for rent. I was 20 and living in my first apartment. A 2-bedroom apartment that I shared with a roommate and my 2 cats. I picked up a roommate because I was a young female living alone for the first time. My roomie, let's call him Ben, was a friend of a friend. Being processed out of the forces due to a psychotic break when they realized that he was also schizophrenic. This was the mid-90s, so I'm sure all the terms have changed by now. My friend vouched for him, and I had hung out with Ben socially before a few times and thought he was really great. Anyway, Ben lived his whole life with voices in his head, but he thought they were the voices of his consciousness and not something malicious or wrong. Until the day they went from normal to disturbing. They told him to take someone's life. This brings us to the then current situation, where he was living at my place until his paperwork was done. Ben was an awesome roommate. He cooked very well, cleaned, liked good music and movies, and was a hottie too. We got along very well, especially when he was compliant with his meds. But then there were days where he wasn't as compliant. Those days were terrifying. I would walk down the hall past his room to see him sitting on his dresser and peering at the wall very closely. It was a blank white wall, nothing there, no smudges or spots. I'd ask him what he was doing, and usually he'd never break his gaze and say, nothing. I'd ask him if he took his meds today, and he'd say, no. Can you do that for me? Sure. And he'd hop down and take his meds and go on about his day. This happened a few times over the next few weeks, and I'm him sitting on the dresser staring at the wall from a few inches away. So I finally asked him, what are you looking at? His answer made my blood run cold. He turned his head slowly and looked at me. You really do not want to know. I felt every little tiny hair on my body stand on end. I asked Ben to please take his meds and backed out of the room. One day I walked past, and this time he was crouched on top of the dresser instead of just sitting on it, nose almost to the wall at the same spot. My cats were sitting on the dresser too, also looking at the same spot. I started to cry and yelled at Ben to take his meds, and my cats shot out of the room. Ben's paperwork came through not long after that, and he moved to the other side of the country. I missed his cooking and company, but not the creepy staring and wondering if he took his meds. I had 3 more roommates to take over his now vacated room, and they all moved out, after a few months, but that's not the creepiest part. One left all his things and just disappeared. This was days before the prolific cell phones, the internet, and email, so I don't know what just made him take off. I know he left as I saw him walk out the door one day and never come back. I pawned his stuff to pay the rent, and I eventually decided to move as my 2-year lease was coming to an end and didn't bother with another roommate. I didn't close off the second bedroom, but I did clean it and sort of decorate it. On the dresser where Ben used to perch, I had an empty crystal vase that I found at a thrift shop. I was 20 and playing around with religion and Wicca, so I also had things like books and an athame, a ceremonial blade, on that dresser. I had some friends over one night for movies and pizza, and the conversation changed to Ben and the creepy things going on, and suddenly there was a huge crashing noise coming from the spare bedroom, and we all ran in and turned on the light. The crystal vase was in a dozen pieces on top of the dresser, just as if it had exploded. One of my friends cleaned up the mess, and we shut the door. I didn't open it again until the day I moved out to pack up a few things in there. Yikes. What was going on in there? Michael O. Oh, wow, Michael. Thank you. I don't really ever comment, but please keep doing what you're doing. Keep going what you're doing. Oh, thank you, Michael. I really appreciate that, brother. Thank you so much. That means the world. That's wonderful. And it's nice to meet you. Thanks for being here. I know several people just, like to listen or do their own thing while they listen to the shows, but it's nice to know some of the people that are out there. So thank you. I hope you continue to enjoy the shows. All right. That's a creepy story. What was going on? What else had the cats interested in that? That's what's interesting. So the guy was seeing something, even though he was off of his meds, but he was seeing something that was absolutely intriguing to him. But what was it the cats were looking at? That's the part that's kind of odd. It's like, whoa, was there something going on in that room? Apparently so. Number 29, curtain call. Back when I was a teenager, my parents used to try and force me to sleep with my curtains open so that I'd get a breeze. I always get up and shut them. One night, it was a gorgeous evening, and something convinced me to keep them open. As I'm trying to fall asleep, I hear a sound that makes my heart stop. There's a heavy breathing outside my window. I look over, and there is a dude staring at me. I scream twice, first an "ah," followed by a "Dad, help." He jumps the fence, and my dogs start losing it. My father comes in, tearing into my room, and I point to the window. I didn't know it, but when he stepped over to the window, he could clearly see a car chilling at the bottom of our driveway. 2 seconds later, 3 more guys sprint up to my window and start talking. My father, cool as a cucumber, goes, "You all right there, guys?" and scares the bejesus out of them. Allegedly, the first guy had been attempted to take their cars, and they were trying to get him. Dad calls the authorities, and they were picked up. The driver for driving under the influence, and the others for public intoxication, and for admitting the threats to the officer. I still, to this day, cannot sleep with the blinds open. Yeah, no doubt. Again, creepy people. They can be scarier than the ghosts by a long shot. That was by Cooper Todd 17. Who did the last one? Did I read that? That was by Red Panda Bounce. Okay. Yeah, that's weird. Number 30, side effects. In 2008, I was staying over at my grandparents' house for the summer break. The place was 40 kilometers from Chennai, India, in a nice town. People were nice, no history of unsavory stuff. It's a very religious and spiritual town. Everyone knew everyone, kind of nice. The last night before I left for home, we watched a documentary on the beginning of life, and it was nice. And I slept, a lot of nice in this story, and I slept by 11 p.m. At 11:34 p.m., I heard crows cawing. Weird, I thought, At exact same time, I saw a crow looking at me inside the house, and then it flew towards the idols of our gods. The Hindu religion has multiple gods. My grandparents are strict followers and very particular about the room. I saw that, woke up, and went there. Nothing. So I came back and slept. Still, 11:34 p.m. Weird, I thought. Out of nowhere, I heard the most horrific shriek, filled with pain and disgust and hate and anger. Suddenly, I have an out-of-body experience and see myself outside the house. I see a tall, dark, hooded figure floating towards our house. And every time it comes closer, I can hear the dragging of chains. And then I see that thing coming up the stairs towards my room. I open my eyes. It's still 11:34 p.m. I sort of have this dreaded feeling that this demon or this tall hooded creature is standing right behind me at the entrance of my room. I try waking my mom up. She's drooling in a deep sleep. My brother too. We're all sleeping in the same room. I now have no choice but to face that thing. So I get up and I just look outside the door, and there it is. It's tall, approximately 8 feet tall, hooded. I can't make out the features of its face, but I stared into its eyes. They were hollow. It felt like forever, but it was just a few seconds. That thing just turned into dust and just hit me. When it hit me, I couldn't breathe. My windpipe swelled up and I started wheezing. I opened my eyes up again and the light's on. My grandfather, granny, mom, and brother are all staring at me. And grandfather just injects me with something and I'm breathing normally again. And I pass out. The next day we go to the doctor and he tells me I almost didn't make it. My windpipe still has swelling and they couldn't find any reason behind it. After some time, I started developing these water boils all over my body. The doctors were not able to find out exactly what it was. They were painful and it did hurt a lot, but I just took the pain. I told my mom and grandparents, but they didn't react much to it. After that day, I've seen that thing a couple times more, but the thing that changed is my personality. I somehow became more confident, stronger, and fearless. That was by the nice jerk. And that's the thing. Sometimes those events, not sometimes, a lot of times, those events can be very transformative. And it's kind of stands to reason. Why would you be afraid if you've already faced the darkness? Or why would you be as afraid? You know, sometimes people walk away from those things more afraid because maybe they didn't realize what was there. And then to come face to face with something that just shouldn't be. It's not supposed to be. It's just supposed to be make-believe. And then you're staring into the face of this make-believe thing. Well, I don't know. I got to give this person a lot of credit, though. But to stand there and just face it is pretty incredible. Wow. There are a lot of things walking this world. And again, we don't know that this is a factual story. But if it is. So here's the thing, and I say this every once in a while on my show. But I like to remind people of this, and I've been saying it for years and years. If only one of the stories that I've read to you tonight are indeed absolutely correct and factual, and these are real events, not, I'm talking about the supernatural, paranormal ones, that's still absolutely amazing. If all of the rest of them are just creative writing, I'm only presenting you things that are supposed to be real, but I can't vouch for the sources on any of these things. So are they for sure? I don't know. Sometimes I read stuff and go, no, it doesn't feel right. But if only a fraction of these things are real, that's incredible. Then something extraordinary is happening in our world. Maybe even terrifying. Don't get me wrong. I'm not glorifying the dark things, but there's also plenty of light things that are happening that are absolutely amazing. So that's pretty incredible. Love, universe, miracles, perfection of unique individualism. Share the giggles. Thank you, Naysay. He's on 2 accounts watching the show. Naysay, you're using 2 accounts, man. He's using his Megaphone Man and Cannabis Resolution. Thank you, brother. I appreciate all of the kindness. All the kindness you guys are showing tonight. This really helps a bunch. Now, you know, I know times are really tough for a lot of us, and I understand that. So, you know, don't ever think that this is the only way to help. There's lots of ways to help the show that don't involve money. I know that times are tough, and making ends meet is double tough right now. And but I want you to know that just hitting the like button is huge. Just sharing the episodes to your groups or your pages is huge. And certainly leaving comments if you're not watching it live is huge. So, you know, there's lots of ways to contribute, you know, and I just want you to know I love you all, and whatever you can do is fantastic. But if you can't do much of anything like monetarily, then, you know, there's lots of ways to help. You being here right now is a big help. So thank you for being a part of the journey. And thank you for all of the love and support you guys continue to give me in messages and comments and emails. It really means the world. You guys have built this show. I just show up and turn on the lights, and you guys have made it amazing. And I'm not trying to, you know, be feign humility here, but if you guys weren't here, this wouldn't be as incredible as it is. It's your presence that makes this amazing. So thank you all. And I mean that sincerely from the bottom of my heart. So, but it certainly does help a bunch, you know, for those of you that are able to. Thank you so much for your kindness. A lot of times doing shows like this is a labor of love. You love doing it. You love, you know, getting together with people that mean a lot to you. And so that in and of itself is a wonderful thing. But, you know, for those of you that have been able to help contribute, thank you so much. Thank you so much. So we'll do one more of these, and then we'll get into the cryptids. And there's a couple of reports I wanted to get to. So have I messed? Thank you, Brent. Love you too. Love you, chat guys. Also a lot of good comments. Thanks, Ninja Dave. I appreciate that. We love you, Brent. Thank you, Tracy. Brent, you're so kind, Maggie. Thank you so much. I haven't watched. Oh, there is a call here too. Let's get to the call, and we'll interrupt this article while we get to a call here. This person's been, it's only been 3 minutes. I did pretty good. All right, area code 340, you're on the air.
Hello, guys.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm all right. This is High Tide from Maryland.
Oh, hey, High Tide. Good to have you here, brother. How's everything going over there?
Not too bad. I spoke with you guys a few times before. I don't know if you remember or.
It's not you. Yeah, it's been a while though, right?
Yeah, it's been a while. I got a little bit of a promotion at my job, so I haven't been able to catch you like I used to. So.
No, that's.
But I got a few interesting stories actually from the job. So.
Ooh, cool. Yeah, by all means. Let us know. I'd love to hear them.
Okay, so I guess I'll jump right into it. So I work at I don't want to say the name,
sure,
but
yeah,
it's an auto parts store.
Mm-hmm.
And so they put me on the night shift, you know, management there. And a few nights there, you know, weird things would happen. The lights would cut off. Outside lights were cut off. And where it's at, it's kind of wooded around, you know, the back and inside of the building. So it can be creepy at night. If the lights are out, like, you can't see anything around the building. It's pretty creepy.
Okay.
So actually one night we have stray cats around there. I'm just going through this. We have stray cats around there too. So,
okay,
you know, it's kind of like, hey, you know, get away, cat. So one night I went out there. This is just something funny. I was like, hey, cat, get away. You know, he's by my front tire. And when the cat came out, no, this cat was actually a skunk. So I was like, holy crap. Let me go ahead and run back to the building.
Yeah,
so that was a different type of scary. But anywho, we're sitting there one night. It was me and another employee, and I'm in the back. You got to do, count all the money for the end of the night.
Mm-hmm.
And the lights went out in the whole building, and the radio went off. Mm-hmm. I'm like, okay, well, maybe we lost power, but it wasn't like raining or anything.
Okay.
And then we hear like somebody was running across the store.
Oh, geez. Wow.
So I'm asked, I was like, hey, did you like lock the door? Somebody here? And of course they told me, hey, look, I'm not going to look. So I get up and because I'm the male employee,
sure.
So I was like, I guess women and children first if, something bad happens. So I'm like, I guess I got to go be a hero. So I go and I'm looking. Nothing in the whole store. And this, most of those stores, it's open. You can see the whole store.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm kind of like, okay, that was pretty creepy. And then she's like, well, this has happened before. I hear it happen, all the time when I'm working. I was like, okay, nobody told me that before they decided to, say, hey, this is your shift from now on, and now I understand why.
Right.
So we're sitting there, we got past that, and we're chatting, and we're doing money. And these, rotors, I don't know if anybody's ever dealt with rotors and, shots and stuff, but these are heavy.
Mm-hmm.
And they just start flying off of the shelves.
Oh, no.
And she's like, nope, I'm done. I'm gone. Like, I was like, no, you can't leave me here.
Yeah.
So I go and look because, sometimes people don't put things properly on shelves. And I'm like, okay, maybe something fell. I'm the guy trying to get the benefit of the doubt because I also don't want to, wet my pants. And literally, these are some of the biggest items and heaviest items that we have on the shelves. And they were just tossed across the floor.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, okay, this is pretty creepy. And then, we have one of those roll-up gate doors.
Sure. Yep.
You know what I mean? Or like a garage. And it just starts shaking while I'm back there. And I'm like, oh, no, no.
Ooh.
So as quickly as I could, I tried to get things done. I got a little bit of trouble the next day because I didn't do all the money counts right. I was just ready to get out of there. I was like, this is my third day on this shift, and I am, like, completely done. I do not want to do this.
Wow.
So I come in the next day, and I'm explaining what happened because they're like, hey, what happened? Why didn't you finish this? And I start telling them, and then, one lady who works there in the day shift, she's like, oh, yeah. She's like, well, that happens all the time. She's like, there are shadows. She says, I hate coming in and open a store by myself when it's still dark outside because I see shadows walking all the time. Stuff's moving. Like, we have little carts, and she said they'll just be strolling across the floor like somebody's pushing it.
Oh,
and I'm like, oh, my God. Why didn't nobody tell me this?
Yeah. They might put one.
And I left my other job to work here because they're like, oh, we'll give you a management position. It'll be great. And I'm like, yeah, well, you didn't tell me Casper and his buddies were going to be spending the night with me.
They might want to put that in the job description.
So,
yeah. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. But I don't know if I can put that on my insurance coverage, but geez, man. I mean, I've had some rough nights. Like, the bathrooms, they're not public bathrooms.
Okay.
But you'll go in the back and the water will be running, the lights will be on, there'll be toilet paper thrown all over the floor like somebody's just been pulling the roll. I mean, it gets pretty gnarly in there sometimes.
Yeah, that's pretty wild.
Yeah.
Huh.
And so I was told that the building was built on a natural spring. And I heard, like, water has a lot of, different things when it comes to, say, spirits or portals, a little bit of everything.
Right. Yeah.
So I'm just thinking, wow, we're sitting in, ground zero of everything.
Yeah.
And it's sometimes it really is. It's scary. It really is.
Oh, I can imagine. I mean, seeing heavy things moved is generally that's pretty Hollywood, really. I mean, if you're in a real situation that's that profound, I mean, it seems to suggest that whatever it is quite a capable entity or entities, to move. I don't know if it
Yeah,
works the
these
same.
are 50 or 60-pound items. They're not
Yeah.
just sliding off of the
Right.
shelf.
It's not like a pen just sliding off the desk. I mean, this is a huge, heavy item.
Right.
Yeah, that's
It,
amazing.
it, Yeah, it gets scary. Even sometimes we've had batteries fall off, and it's
Oh,
like they're kind of locked into place, and it's like there's no way that just fell. There's no way.
right. Wow.
I'll share one more with you, and then I'll let you
Okay.
guys get back to the show. I love the show as well. I forgot to mention that, and
Oh, thank you, brother.
I love the chat that we all have.
Yeah.
I love it. Everybody's awesome.
Yeah, that they are incredible.
So this last story that I have, it's not really necessarily a story. It's just something that my fiance noticed.
Okay.
I had a buddy come in town who we've been friends since like 5th grade, and I'll be 46 years. So
Okay.
that tells you how good of friends we are.
Yeah. Yeah.
So he came by, he's like, hey, I would like to come see you and your family and stuff. So I said, fine. And it got kind of late. So I said, hey, man, if, you're not busy, I took off time because I knew you were coming. If you want to stay the night here, it's fine. We 4-bedroom house, it'll be fine. And he said, fine. So we're walking in the house and, we went to the store, grabbed a couple drinks and some snacks and stuff. And, fine.
Uh-huh.
So then my fiance, which actually I'm gonna try to get it off of her phone and send it to you guys.
Okay.
She was like, "Did you realize what happened?" So when you look at because we have a Ring camera,
Okay.
so it shows us walking into the house perfectly fine.
Mm-hmm.
But then we have those plastic kind of like PVC privacy fences on the side.
Okay. Yeah.
So we're walking in, and you see our 2 shadows walk. And then after that, you see a third shadow run behind us after we've gotten in the door.
No.
And I mean, it is creepy.
Yeah.
It is so creepy. And she's like, well, from now on, you're taking the dogs out at night. And I'm like, okay, well, who pays the bills when, the boogeyman gets me? So, it's been kind of interesting. And this is here at my house. And he said, remember what your grandmother used to tell you? And my grandmother, I'm half black and half Native American. And
Okay.
people will bring things with them.
Yes.
So I thought, you know what? Maybe he, where he ever came from, and maybe his household had something, or maybe he traveled overseas.
Right.
And something was drawn to him and followed him and saw our house and was like, hey, this is a good place to hang out.
Mm-hmm.
But we have these special like wind chimes and stuff. They're very expensive, like $500 for these things. I would never buy them for myself, but her parents bought them for us, and I'm blessed.
Oh,
and
cool.
They're beautiful, but it tends to draw things away. So
Right.
it kind of looks like once it got to the door where the wind chimes are,
Mm-hmm.
it kind of like just was like, nope, I'm not going there.
Very
So
interesting.
we have like a lot of protection kind of things where when you come in the house, you detox, you leave all that stuff outside.
Yep. Good.
But I have to, I'm going to get it off of her phone and I have to send it to you. You
Yeah.
guys will be like, what in the crap was that? And it looked like a human figure, but I mean, it's much wider and taller than us.
Yeah.
It looks like a really tall, almost like how people explain like the Hat Man, minus the hat.
Okay.
But I mean, this thing was it was huge.
Yeah, I'd love to see it. I was gonna say though, think about the fact that you're working in a haunted store too, so maybe it followed you home.
Well, this situation actually happened before I started working.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Okay, all right. I didn't catch that on the timeline. So yeah. That's interesting. Man.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I kind of told these out of order.
Oh, that's okay.
Sorry.
That's perfectly fine. But yeah, I mean, it could be that for some reason, sometimes they like to follow. Maybe you or he remind them of someone they knew, or remind them of a family member, or whatever. or they just like your energy. And if they are, I mean, it's hard to say whether a shadow is really a dark thing or not. They appear shadowy, but I've heard both versions through the years that sometimes regular spirits just sometimes go shadowy, just because they want to blend in better. But it's an interesting thing. But I'm glad it didn't get in your house, and certainly be careful at work that something doesn't follow you home
I
from there.
sure hope not.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, that is just a whole different situation. It's kind of weird where I started kind of buying and wearing jewelry just to protect myself because I really don't know what's going on.
Yeah, be careful. I mean, I don't know enough to tell you, hey, it's this or that, but certainly if you got a lot of profound activity at work, could be any number of things. So just be sure to protect yourself and make sure before you go home every day. It's like, nope, nothing can follow me. You got to stay here. So, yeah, that's creepy.
Well, thank you for that.
Yeah, I mean, I would always make those affirmations. And, honestly, though, I did want to say that sometimes in hauntings like that, where there's a lot of profound activity, sometimes just addressing them and say, maybe give it a name. If you think it's a guy, give it a name, like whatever, and just start talking to them like, hey, quit throwing stuff around here. You know that it's got to get picked up, and just say that's not okay. I appreciate you're here, but quit making a mess.
You know what it almost feels like? You remember that old cartoon where Bugs Bunny was getting like, it's probably the only character I've ever seen in cartoons that gave Bugs Bunny a run for his money. When that little goblin was on the plane and was just tearing up stuff and being a nuisance. That's what it feels like. It doesn't really feel like it's a person like, hey, I'm pushing over stuff. It just feels like something that's just being very mischievous and like just trying to get under my skin.
And you could be right.
I don't know if that even makes sense.
Sure.
I don't know how I know that or why I feel that way, but that's how it feels.
Yeah, trust your gut then. I guess, if it's something that was never human, then that's certainly possible too. There's lots of things I think in our world that were never people, but they still exist to us as spiritual presences. So, I don't know that even talking to them may work. I don't know. I mean, I don't have a lot of experience with that kind of thing, but I'm just assuming that, if you acknowledge and are, quote unquote respectful, maybe it'll just be like, all right, yeah, got to recognize.
Now that makes me think now that could like something like a puckwudgie or something like exist outside of a house and just like be attached to a building itself. I've heard they're usually like it's a house thing.
Well, the gnomes are often attributed to, there's this, according to our good friend Robin Moonshadow, there's house gnomes, and they just take in a structure. They just live in a structure, and they apparently move so quick. They may be spiritual, they may be physical. I don't know. Depends which camp you're in on that. But if it's that, they're still an intelligent, sentient thing. It's just they're just existing on the fringe of our awareness. So, say to them, hey, knock it off. I don't know. It could be, though. I don't know about puckwudgies, though, because they're usually attributed with the wilds. I don't know that they ever are bothering people in homes as much as around forests and woodlands where they're, known to be or believed to be. But, yeah, could be a gnome.
Well, the only reason I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say it could be a gnome of some kind if it's some kind of creature like that, or God forbid, like I don't pretend to know a lot about these either, but goblins or other such things that are legendary, but they're believed to be out there too by a number of people.
Well, the only reason that I even mentioned it and brought it up because like I was saying, that it was built on a natural spring, and like I said, there's woods all around it. So I'm like, did you disturb something, or like I don't know. My options are open. I'm very open-minded about everything, so I'm just kind of.
That's another
I don't know.
thing.
I guess
because a lot of in our Western ideal of the world, it's just like, hey, this would be a nice place for a parking lot. This would be a nice place for a park. This would be a great place for a building. But, the First Nations tribes of the areas they had sacred spaces. They had sacred places because of any number of reasons, but I think one of which was that they were sensitive to the energies there. And they knew there were some places of reverence, there were some places of evil, there were some places that they weren't meant to go or shouldn't go because of maybe acknowledging other intelligences there. But we just look at a place like, yeah, let's put a street here. Let's, we've ignored all of those things in our Western idealism.
Yeah.
And so you're
They
very
see
right.
all right and wrong, and we see dollar signs.
Right. Well, yeah, we see opportunity, right? And that's
Right.
it's tragic, but it's just part of a thing. Red Cap Goblin says goblins don't exist. Shh. Person's name is Red Cap Goblin, a chatter. They say goblins don't exist.
Yeah.
I hear you. No, I think that, since it was built on a spring, that might be, something of an elemental nature then too, that there's elementals as well that are believed to be a part of our world. So, yeah, it's maybe, I don't know. I mean, obviously it's not your business, so you have only a limited thing that you can do, but certainly just be careful and protect yourself. Okay.
I shall do that, and thank you guys for having me again.
Yeah, anytime, brother. Would love your calls, and if anything else pops up, let me know. I'd love to hear about it, and I'd love to see that video. So if you get a chance, send it over.
Oh yeah, I'll get as soon as I can. Like you guys really need to see it, and I would love for the audience to see it as well.
Yeah, for sure. Yep, I'll show it as soon as you send it, brother.
All right. Well, thank you guys. Have a good night, and I will continue listening.
All right, man. And my best to your family and the holidays. Have a wonderful holidays if we don't talk before then.
Same to you.
All right. Good night.
Later.
Well, that was really cool. Very cool. I don't know, Red Cap Goblin. I think they might be out there. That's pretty cool. That's another new name, though. I didn't never seen that name before either. So what a cool night. Meeting lots of new people. And maybe you're already familiar with the show, but it's the first time I've seen the name. So I always get excited about that, like genuinely excited. It's like, oh, that's a new name. I never saw that one. Yeah, red caps were, yeah, they are much like the garden gnomes that people put out. Let's see. Oh my God, we got 5 minutes. I do want to hit this couple of articles I've had open. I don't know. Do I want to? I'd have to kind of race through them. Actually, maybe we'll save them for Friday because it's going to be just me and you guys for this whole week. Because actually, Sheldon is out of town too. He's off seeing a friend right now, so he's not going to be with me on Friday or Saturday night either. So I'll just save what's left for the next time, I guess, because we're about out of time. It's gone quick. I love the call-ins, though. I can't thank you enough for calling in. Thank you so much. And if any of you have things like this to share, I'd love to talk to you in person. And if you got a bunch of things to share, get a hold of me, and I'd love to have you as a guest on our podcast. Just got a thing from Spotify. I've been working really hard to, increase awareness of our presence on Spotify, which is our audio podcast, which is also on iTunes, iHeartRadio, on Pandora, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Play, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But got a 2022 wrap up from Spotify that was really encouraging. So a lot more of you guys are listening on Spotify, and thank you for that. If you are a Spotify user and you haven't checked out the podcast, which is not this show, this is not the podcast, this is the YouTube live stream. But if you're looking for more information about the shows and where to find more about the Paranormal Portal, please visit paranormalportal.net. And I'm going to put a link in chat about that because that is the home place of the Paranormal Portal. Maybe I should pull up the link here. Hold on. There it is. And I also, if you're wanting to watch the live streams but only catch them once in a while, I do have what the hell happened? The timer section completely disappeared. But anyway, I do put a timer up there that's maybe it disappeared because it's expired for right now, but I got to reload it. But there all the information of how to watch or participate in the Paranormal Portal is there, except the Discord server, because I don't have a concrete link for that yet. That's something I'm going to be doing in the near future, is getting an internal link to our Discord group so I can post it up there as well. But the paranormalportal.net is the location you can find links to all of our social media, You can find links to both the podcast, to our Libsyn page. We're hosted through Libsyn, which is an amazing company. Just love working with them. And you can also find our social media, Facebook pages. The YouTube page you're watching right now is linked on there as well. But I do a timer there so you guys can see when the shows are going live. Let me just do some shout outs here quick. I didn't do that tonight. I meant to. There isn't a lot of active chatters right now, but Brooks is here. Cannabis Resolution is here. Digger Dog is here. Lily Pond. Maggie M10. Ninja Dave 1970. Prairie Fire, that's a new name. Portal Mom popped up. Rachel Gets It Right. Redcap Goblin. Ruger Ridge, the fourth color. The Heated. HYTYDD. That's, or doesn't double D in Welsh make an L? I think so. The Heedle, or the Heidel. I'm not sure how to pronounce that for sure. Tracy Gale is here. Wonder Woman is here. And that's the active chatters right now. Oh, no more names are popping up. Oh my God. Where did the name go? Where is it? Ruger Ridge, Ron the Sage. Good to see you, Ron. Prairie Fire, Portal Mom. Someone else popped in up here. I'm looking. Rachel, of course, you're here. Thank you. And thanks to our mods, by the way. I don't thank you guys enough, but you guys are amazing. Those of you who are moderators on our channel, you guys keep everything working really smooth. We don't have a lot of trolls, thank God, but they do show up from time to time, and our mods are just incredible at handling that right away. And thanks to the admins over on the Discord as well. I know we've got a few of them, and they're incredible people. I just appreciate all you guys are doing. What the hell happened? My whole chat disappeared. I don't want top chat. I want all chat. There we go. The mods are great here. Good show, Brent. Thank you so much, Hardwick. Good to see you as well. I didn't see your name before. The Cannabis Resolution, of course, you're here. And is there any other names that... Okay, just live chat. Thank you. It went to like top chat for some reason. There we go. Everything's dogging right now. Could be because of the storm, though. But Tracy Gale, did I say Tracy before? Hi, Tracy. And good to see you. And I'm just looking. But if I missed your name, I'm sorry. I know Jake was in here a little bit ago. He may still or not be. I'm not sure. But just remember, folks, the YouTube live streams are Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday night. So if you're looking for something to do on those 3 nights, I'd love to have you come and hang out with me as we dive into more of the stuff. We didn't get to the cryptid stuff tonight, but we'll get to it on Friday night. So come back then. We'll get back into this and more. The storm affected us today. Did it, Colleen? Yeah. It's really dumped a ton of snow here. There's Wonder Woman. How you doing? And so anyway, thank you all for being here and being a part of the journey tonight. Thank you to all of our wonderful super chats. That was amazing. Thank you to all of you who have hit the thumbs up. Thanks for being here and being a part of the Paranormal Portal. I'm absolutely honored with your presence always. So until next time, which is Friday night, remember, love you all. Be good, be kind, be nice. Help each other out. Take care of each other. Help each other out. Find the magic in every day. And remember to laugh as much as you can. Because, God, the world needs more laughter. It needs more love. Needs more good things. Because there's all kinds of rotten stuff going on. So, guys, take care of each other. Just flood the world with love. I know that sounds real hippie-like and stuff. And I don't ever mean to sound cheesy. But honest to God, I just think about things. It's like, man, things are really a mess. But then I know there's wonderful, wonderful people in this world. And I think it's now is more important than ever to just be as wonderful as you know how to be. Shine your light as brightly. As Sheldon always says, shine your light. And he's right. We gotta shine enough to beat back all the shadows. So we'll see you Friday night, I hope. And if not, you can always catch the replays here on our YouTube channel. So that's going to do it for me tonight, folks. Again, thank you to Bigfoot Odyssey and Daniela Iolo for having me on to help her guest, to help host the show. That was a lot of fun. So if you haven't checked that out, check it out. Brent is the Portal Man. I don't know. I'll be the Portal Man. So true, Brent. Thank you, Tracy. All right, guys, that's it for me. I'm going to wrap it up and go put my feet up because I'm going to have to shovel a lot of tomorrow. Maybe even tonight if I get ambitious, but I'm not betting I will. So good night, everybody. Take care. We'll see you on Friday night right here, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 10 p.m. Eastern on our YouTube channel. Until then, that's all I got. All right. Until next time.